bold journalism,
But Drew Hernandez is a strong-minded individual.
exposing lawlessness,
Hernandez, who is ideological,
finding the truth,
and use the word Antifa.
This is what they do.
Battling
They're
mainstream
liars. The woke mob, all they can do is lie.
These are the front lines.
What's going on, thought criminals? Welcome to Frontlines. I'm your host, Drew Hernandez. The Twitter file drops are continuing, and we're getting more and more revelations confirming everything that we knew, but they are getting quite specific, and the world is awaiting the Fauci files to drop, which should drop, if not today. I believe they did say tomorrow, but we did get some recently that are really revealing some very specific details regarding specific people, including Congressman Adam Schiff and also failed presidential candidate Hillary Clinton, ladies and gentlemen, as well, sending orders to big tech to take down specific people, not even because of them. We even have we got the receipts here showing that there's people within the Schiff regime that didn't like what was being said, so on his behalf, he went and shut them down, or attempted to. But this is the corporate big tech fascism that we all knew was taking place, and now we have the receipts. So everyone at home that has been saying this is going on, the shadow banning, the deplatforming, behind the scenes, these people and politicians, not just the FBI, the CIA, but now we have on record politicians as well, specifically calling to deplatform not just people, journalists. This is the fascism that we have been seeing. And also the globalist open border policy is not getting any better at the southern border, especially in Arizona and Yuma with the installation of Governor Katie Hobbs. Cartel Katie's not going to make any things better, and we are already seeing that just like a day after her swearing in. Well, we'll talk about all that right now. My name is Drew Hernandez, and you are now on the front lines. Alrighty, well, here we are with some of the Twitter files that have dropped. The feds used Russian election interference fears to gain access to Twitter influence policy. One of the Twitter file journalists dropped another batch yesterday in the new Twitter files showing how the intelligence community used Russian election interference fears to gain access to Twitter and influence policy. Through the summer of 2017, Twitter was not seen as a main player in the spread of so-called Russian disinformation. This changed in October when the company was being held responsible as one of Russia's most potent weapons in its efforts to promote Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton, with Clinton saying that it was time for Twitter to stop dragging its heels and live up to the fact that its platform is being used as a tool for cyber warfare. Remember the entire narrative, they wanted to abolish the Electoral College, claiming that Donald Trump colluded with Russia to rig the election. Remember, that was their narrative at the time, and they ran with it to the very end. These people were not going to concede. Of course they weren't. Here's one of the drops that we saw on this. Taking their cues from Hillary Clinton, of course. Former VP of Public Policy Colin Crowell added Democrats were taking cues from Hillary Clinton, who that week said it's time for Twitter to stop dragging its heels and live up to the fact that its platform is being used as a tool for cyber warfare, that they themselves are taking cues from her. Here's another tweet saying, in growing anxiety over its PR problem, Twitter formed a Russia task force to proactively self-investigate. Here's some of the other drops. Thanks for being drafted to the Russia task force for the next month. This team will be focused on, one, conducting a more fulsome retro of the 2016 election, preparing for more congressional hearings at the end of the month, telling Twitter's story publicly, including robust outreach to outside researchers, reporters, and members of Congress, evaluating whether policy changes are needed. Those are all quotes, and these are people that were directly involved with this campaign. So if you really do take a look, 10,000 view, 20,000 airplane view over, and you go back into history, and now it's confirmed, that this whole Russian gate hoax turned out to be just a campaign smear that originated with the Clinton campaign at the time, that was simply going to be a campaign smear that was going to be launched against the Trump campaign, October surprise, right? They were going to attempt to discredit the following and discredit the populist movement that began to rise, which is now the Make America Great Again movement, right? Turned out that the whole Russian dossier, the whole Russiagate hoax turned out to be fake and false, had no weight to it, had no credibility. They took it all the way up into an impeachment, and it turned out to not be true. And now we're learning that Hillary Clinton was involved alongside of Twitter in order to push the narrative to the masses at the same time. And so we learned that something went from just a campaign smear all the way up to an investigation into attempted impeaches, with impeaches of the president and attempting to stop him from getting elected at that. This went on for years and they spent millions of dollars trying to do it. But now we know, it's confirmed that this lie went that far and they were colluding alongside with Twitter, big tech. I cannot wait to see what's going on with Facebook. I cannot wait to see what's going on with YouTube and Google as well. We have the NSA, we have the FBI, we have them working alongside with big tech, including specific politicians and campaigns as well, to go after people off of a lie. And then when you turn everything around and then you really think about it and you ask yourself, what's really going on here? How these lies are being peddled to the masses. And then they turn around and say, what was Twitter always trying to say? Oh, we're combating misinformation. We're going to combat the spreading of disinformation. Yes, the Russians used big tech. The Russians used social media. The Russians, they infiltrated the minds of Americans, and they helped President Trump to rig the election. That's all we heard. They wanted to abolish the Electoral College over that lie, and we all saw it in real time. And all of a sudden, now when we point out real inconsistencies in the now elections, oh no, you're the election denier, you're the terrorist, and you are just a threat to democracy. But they're allowed, right? They're allowed to literally peddle a lie about Russia and President Trump, and then get big tech to collude alongside of them, specific politicians and specific campaign staffers, to get big tech to push this lie in the name of we're combating misinformation. Spreading a lie, spreading real misinformation, spreading real disinformation, while at the same time saying that we are the heroes. We are the ones that are going to combat lies on social media. Well, it gets even more specific because it also came out that Adam Schiff lobbied Twitter to ban journalists over what he accused of being QAnon conspiracies. In November 2020, California Congressman Adam Schiff reached out to Twitter to ask them to specifically ban journalist Paul Sperry. Schiff alleged that Sperry, who is an investigative reporter for Real Clear Investigations, had repeatedly promoted false QAnon conspiracies. This is what they're going with. Here are some of those Twitter files. They also received an astonishing variety of requests from officials asking for individuals they didn't like to be banned. Here, the Office for Democrat and House Intel Community, Chief Adam Schiff asks Twitter to ban journalist Paul Sperry. Twitter responded by saying no, and they were requesting to remove any and all content about Mr. Misko and other committee staff from its service to include quotes, retweets, and reactions to that content. No, Twitter responded, this isn't feasible. We don't do this. Here's another one. With Twitter responding, we don't do this, even Twitter declined to honor Schiff's request at the time. Sperry was later suspended, however. The journalist also posted that Schiff and his office sent to Twitter as part of the latest Twitter files drop on Tuesday, which said that Schiff's office claimed that there had been harassment from QAnon conspiracists against a Schiff staffer. So this is how the misinformation works, okay? They launch it with their own disinformation, They launch it with their own misinformation, and they slander their opponents. They slander their reputations. They slander them with a lie, and it's accompanied with some fear. It's some kind of buzzword, some kind of fear porn, fear language that they use in order to paint on someone that nobody wants to be called. I don't want to be called a domestic terrorist. I don't want to be called a mega Republican. I don't want to be called a anti-vaxxer, a non-mask wearer, right? I don't want to be called a QAnon conspiracy theorist, right? So they use these terms in order to put pressure. We're talking about an elected official putting pressure on big tech to ban a journalist that they don't like via a lie. So what? Even if the journalist was a QAnon conspiracy theorist, so what? It's free speech. But these people don't believe in free speech, even though they're the ones running around saying, oh, democracy, everything's a threat to our democracy. Everything's a threat to our freedom. Democracy this, democracy that. Ukraine is amazing, and we have to protect our democracy here in the U.S. They don't believe in free speech. They don't believe in the Second Amendment. They don't believe in human autonomy. They don't believe in the free press. These are fascists. These are fascist regimes working alongside big tech because the old regime, Twitter, was the ultimate tool in order for these people to censor any political dissent in the media as well, not just political opponents, but in the media as well, with the intent to shut them down because they didn't like them. Because there was, I don't know, was this staffer with Adam Schiff, Congressman Adam Schiff, did this staffer just get their feelings hurt? Didn't like what someone said? I'd be willing to bet that's probably what the case was, because these people know that they have the power to knock on that door of Twitter and say, you ban this person and you ban them now. And in some cases, Twitter would respond, and in some cases, Twitter wouldn't. Because what did we see from the Twitter files when they banned President Trump? That there were people in Twitter that were questioning some of the decisions of deplatforming certain people within the old regime. But at the same time, we know that they didn't always reject the requests. But what we do know is that for some reason, these leftists felt that they had the power, because they knew that they had the power, in order to put pressure on big tech. It all makes sense now, right? It all makes sense that none of these leftists, lawmakers, anytime they would talk about big tech, oh, the right wants big tech to be regulated for free speech. No, they're a private company. You leave them the hell alone. While behind closed doors, they are putting pressure on big tech to do their bidding. Sometimes they were successful, sometimes they weren't. That is the fascism that we're dealing with right now in 2023. And it's being exposed, and it's being exposed for a very specific reason. Because everyone that's called a liar, everyone that's called a conspiracy theorist, can now point to the receipts that all of this stuff is happening in real time right before our eyes. Just like the formerly known southern border that is wide open, and the globalist agenda is literally unfolding day by day. I don't know where you guys get your news. I don't know if you guys watch Fox or whatever, and all you ever hear is the southern border crisis. The southern border crisis. It's not a crisis, man. It's an intentional demolishing of U.S. sovereignty. It is an agenda that has been drawn up. UN, World Economic Forum is behind it. The globalists are all in unison because they want one world unification. And America stands in the way of that because we somewhat had still some kind of form of national sovereignty here in the United States of America. But if you've been around for the past couple of years, that has been decimated. We don't have a southern border anymore. It's gone. It is gone. Millions of unidentified, unvetted people from various different countries around the world have poured into this country by the millions, ladies and gentlemen. And it is not a crisis. It is all by design. The replacement migration is real. It's meant to change the demographics. It's meant to change and shift culture. It's meant to actually increase money for America, because the globalists believe that, it's a huge payday when you have mass illegal immigration and no borders. And they also believe that it does shift culture. Well, here specifically in Arizona, we've already seen some movement Fox News did report an invitation for the cartel. That's a quote from an Arizona official issuing a dire warning as container walls come down. This is in Yuma, Arizona, at the formerly known southern border. Deconstruction of the container wall at the formerly known southern border in Yuma, Arizona has begun. Video footage captured Monday morning showed then Governor Doug Ducey had the container wall constructed near Yuma over the summer to curb the migration surge. He agreed to have it removed after facing legal challenges from the Biden administration. Nearly 1 million migrants crossed through Arizona's southern border since Biden took office, according to Customs and Border Patrol. It's more than that. That's not accurate. It's way more than that. When you go down there, it's out of control. Just in Arizona alone. In Arizona alone. Well, Peter Ducey of Fox has been pressing the White House press secretary, asking her, does the White House believe that the southern border is secure? And just take a look at this woman's smug response, because you're just supposed to never question the regime. Take a look at this.
Does anybody around here think that the southern border is secure?
What I can tell you is this is a president has been working since day one to work on border security, to make an immigration a priority. That's why he put forth a comprehensive immigration reform plan, legislation. And here's the thing. As the president is coming forward and trying to come up with solutions, the difference here is that you have Republicans, as you know, who are doing political stunts. And, and we've called that out over and over and over again. And the president is willing to work with Congress, Republicans, Democrats, Independents, to work on these issues that matter to the American people. But this is an issue that the president has taken very, very seriously since day one of his administration.
With roughly 7,000 migrants crossing every day illegally, does the White House believe the border is secure?
Look, I've told you what we have done, what we have made this a priority. To make sure
are they working?
To make sure that there's border security measures. Look. Here's the thing, Peter.
Here it comes.
The president has taken historic actions, right? That no other president has been able to do. When you think about the 23,000 agents that we have been able to put out there to deal with the issue that we're seeing at the border, and that is something that he did without a lot of Republican support. Right? Make sure that we are dealing with a real issue. When you think about the smugglers, really putting a plan in place that we deal with the smugglers, right? And we have to be very careful here, Peter, on how we talk about this, because if we talk about it in a way that is misinformation, then it helps the smugglers. And so these are the issues that the president has taken incredibly seriously. And again, I will say this, I just said it moments ago, he's willing to work with Republicans, he's willing to work with Democrats, he's willing to work with independents to work on this issue, to move forward with his comprehensive plan that he put forward on day one of his administration.
And another topic.
It's just so embarrassing to watch, this diversity hire just sitting there, not even believing the vomit and the garbage that's coming out of her own mouth. Like, it's like, come on, dude, you're gonna sit there and expect us to all believe that President Biden is doing all that he can to secure the formerly known southern border? Like, you're gonna sit there and that's what you're gonna go with? That's what you're going with? Oh, yes, this administration is doing absolutely everything it can. He's taken historic actions, and we got to be careful because the way that we talk about this, it could be misinformation. What are you talking about? What is she talking? She doesn't even know what she's saying. Even she knows she's full of crap, and everything that's coming out of her mouth is crap because she doesn't say anything that's true. It's a total lie. With Arizona, literally, the feds, the Biden administration, sued Arizona to remove the crates in Yuma. And they're doing everything they can to lock it down and secure. Of course they're not. It's all gaslighting and it's lies. These people are gaslighters and they're liars. They don't tell the truth because they are not of the truth. all they can do is sit there and lie, and they lie intentionally because they don't care about America. They don't care about this country. They don't care about you. They view you as a stupid peasant. That's why I say when you watch the clip, you could see her like ramping up. She's just like, well, let me tell you something, because I'm the black woman. You need to listen to me, white man. I'm the black woman in the room, so you listen to me, white man. I'm going to tell you how it is, and like is not coherent at all. Makes like no sense. These diversity hires, man, are embarrassing. Super, super embarrassing. Speaking of embarrassing, apparently Governor Katie Hobbs, ladies and gentlemen, speaking of Arizona, swore in a couple days ago, just like a day or two before, they happened to remove all the containers at the southern border. It's gonna get ready and buckle up, Arizona, because we're in for a wild one. This is a puppet that is gonna probably be worse than President Biden and John Fetternick. I'll tell you that, Senator John Fetternick. And while she was getting sworn in under oath, she just happens to start laughing when they ask her to swear to uphold and protect the Constitution. Why? I don't know. Just take a look.
Kathleen Marie Hobbs, do solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution. Stop it, Mom.
What's the Constitution again? Can one of my aides, please, one of my diversity hires come explain to me what is this thing called the Constitution? I'm Katie Hobbs, and Arizona is amazing, and we're just gonna, I don't even know what we're gonna do. We're gonna do something. Can someone tell me what I'm supposed to do now that I'm here? Oh, Carrie Lake is bad. Did I do a good job? Is that enough? Can someone give me directions as to how I can get home? I don't know where I am. That's what we got. That's what we got. That's the installation that we got. Cartel. I'll tell you who loves. I'll tell you who's very pleased and very happy that Governor Katie Hobbs is now in office in Arizona. These criminal cartels that Carrie Lake has been aggressively speaking out against for months on the campaign trail. Have you noticed the difference? Do you notice how Carrie was constantly calling out the real problems? The cartels here in Arizona. You think the cartel aren't a problem here in Arizona? You're not paying attention. There's a reason why they want this puppet here in Arizona. Cartel Governor Katie is good for business. That's why those containers come down. That's why they won't talk about it. They'll open up for business for these cartels that continue to smuggle humans, little girls, rape them, little boys as well. Pour in fentanyl through the formerly known southern border, which is going to kill more Americans. Not just get them hooked on drugs, it's going to kill people. People are going to continue to die because of this open border policy. Not just people flooding into the country. It makes sense, right? Doesn't it all make sense? They're going to pump in fentanyl through the formerly known southern border, kill all the Americans, and just bring in a wave of people that can't even speak English to replace every single one of you. That is how the replacement migration works. That is why they need puppets that question nothing, that have no opinions for themselves, that will never question their overlords, and that will never even think about doing anything autonomously for themselves and for these states and for this country. The John Fetternicks, the Cartel Katies of the world, the President Joe Bidens, all of these people are there for a reason and by design, because they need puppets that are controllable. That's where we're at. Well, we will resist. My name is Drew Hernandez, ladies and gentlemen. These are the front lines, and I will see you guys on the next one.
We must play offense. Game on.
You expect the rest of the world to live in La La Land. We're not.
We've been saying these things from day one.
Our solemn vow to you, be good, be brief, be gone.
You might find yourself changing your opinion on things you've never even thought twice about. That really sets America apart.
You are not ready for season 2. This is Reloaded.
My life, tale, and my truth has been to fight socialism.
Are you familiar with structural racism?
Yeah, it's a myth.